Well, I mean, how else am I going to get it on the internet?
Do I look good? It's the most important thing.
Mustache looks great.
Thanks. Yeah. Shaving it in like 3 days.
All right, guys. Welcome to episode 1 of the Times Up Outdoors podcast. Start off by introducing ourselves. We'll go with Niko here since he's the founder.
Well, I'm Niko. Niko Tanti. Founded Times Up Outdoors in 2012. And since then, I've got these clowns to my right that have joined me. And they are...
I'm Zig.
And I'm Shido.
All right, so, John, a little bit of background on Times Up. Niko, obviously, as he just said, he started in 2012, and he was doing it on his own. We'll let him get into that, but recently in September-ish, John called me and said, hey, man, you like to hunt a lot. I do too, and why don't we start sharing it online and start some kind of a business, with it? And I said, yeah, well, there's a guy on the job that already has something going. Maybe we should talk to him, see what he thinks, and get into it. So that's
I had no idea who Niko was, by the way.
Yeah, so that's where me and John came in. John called Niko, and it took off from there. So I guess we'll start off. Let's talk, Niko, tell us how you started it, why you started it, and all that.
All right, so just like everybody else, watching a bunch of outdoor television, sitting around, just talking smack about it all the time, I could do that. So one day, my old man just kind of was like, well, then do it. Shut up and do it. So I bought a little $800 camcorder and just started filming hunts.
$800?
$800.
You were balling back then.
Of course.
You couldn't afford that now.
I was living with my mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So bought that little camcorder, started filming stuff. Had no clue what I was doing. Just editing everything on iMovie, just stealing music, all kinds of craziness with it. Then I worked for everybody's favorite outdoor man, Chris Brackett, for a little while. Learned a ton from the man and from Chip City Spalding. But when I got done working with them after a few months, I realized I don't want to do any more outdoor television. Hated the way it was done. I met the whole industry and hated it. I can't emphasize it enough. It's fake. It was just borderline garbage across the board. The people were assholes. Hate it. So I wanted nothing to do with TV anymore, but I still wanted to share my experiences with people through media. So I kept Times Up Outdoors going. But it was kind of like a back burner thing where I just shared photos and videos and stuff like that. And then, like you said, in September, I get a call from this John Shido guy who I'd only heard of on the job, but I didn't know who he was at all. I was hanging tree stands, and he's all excited and giddy, like, hey, man, we got to start filming hunts, and I got all these guys, and it's going to be awesome. And I was honestly thinking, okay.
Who the hell is this guy?
Okay, he's really excited.
This is like the third thing John's called me about, and been like, hey, let's do this. And then,
dude, I got a great idea.
I'm like, yeah, John,
Listen
that sounds
here.
cool, and then it never
Here's
happened.
my sweet idea. We're all going to go to firehouses, and we're going to do a cookbook.
Yeah, cookbook, that was one.
That was a bust.
That didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of these guys. I've had a lot of people that wanted to do outdoor television, and then when you get into it and you realize how much of a real pain in the ass it is, and it falls off real quick. But John and I met up at a bar, and we talked for a couple hours about it, kind of got a game plan together, talked to Scott about it, who I had never really met other than in and out at the firehouse, back when I first started. So that was really it. But it took off, man. It kind of just ballooned up from there with your guys' help between social media guru and sound and tech guru over there.
I guess I had to take that.
You are the social media guy.
That's your name on the job.
Yeah,
your name is GoPro.
Yeah, I never use a GoPro.
Yeah, so that's it. It's just it went from knowing nothing in 2012 to still knowing nothing in 2018, but
with more people.
More people, yeah, a little more fun. Guys that all care.
Yeah. So how long you been on the job?
For almost 2 whole years.
So when we say on the job, for anybody who listens to this, which probably there won't be anybody listening to it, other than
Zero
people who
listeners.
Know exactly what we're talking about.
Hi, Mom.
On the job, we're talking about on the fire department. When we say on the job, typically we're talking about on the Detroit Fire Department, but it sometimes extends that out to friends of ours that work on other departments and on the job as a fireman. Yeah, maybe. So how long? You said 4 years?
2 years.
2 years? 2
No,
years.
Only 2 years. Yes.
Wow.
I'm the baby.
We have 4 years, Scott.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We almost have
Almost 5 in
almost
April.
5, which means almost nothing.
Almost I get to listen at the firehouse table.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, to any senior guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm still a peon. I understand.
Yeah, so are we.
Peon.
You get some time on the job.
Some time on, kid.
So we're all fairly new. All right, I'll go next. Like I said, John called me in September, and it was like the third thing John's talked to me about. Hey man, let's start this thing up, and that was a cookbook one time. And it seems like every time he calls me, I'm pooping when he calls me.
It's
I don't
sweet,
know why.
and I know that because I can hear it.
Yeah, every time.
Sweet.
He's like, hey, and I'm like, ah, you called me again. I'm on the toilet. But anyways, so he called me, asked me, you know, we're out there anyways. Might as well share stuff and maybe film some hunts. You got some big bucks on your property. I saw pictures. So I said, yeah, man, that's cool. Try to get somebody else involved. And I knew Niko. I had heard his story. I'd worked with his dad when I first got my badge, and he told me all about how he worked for an outdoor TV show, and that my dad knew about. I don't really watch TV much, so I was like, I didn't even know what the name of the show was.
You talking about Chris Brackett?
Yeah, I had no idea. My dad watches TV shows. When I mentioned it to him, he's like, I know that show. But
it was sweet.
Yeah.
When it
So
started.
told him to get a hold of Niko and a couple other guys, Brandon Carter and some other people on the job. And I'm like, we could try to get other guys involved. And Niko, obviously being in the industry, he jumped right on it with John. John called me and he said, yeah, Niko's on board. So it kind of started flowing into like, we changed the logo a little bit, and then we did this. We started something on Instagram. We did change something on YouTube. You know, next thing you know, we met up for the first time all together the day before bow season, shot our bows, and bought the trademark rights and formed an LLC and talked about what we wanted to do. Drank a whole lot of Busch Light, and here we are now after our 2018 deer season's over with, and a whole lot of filming and meeting up multiple times.
Just to clarify, when we were shooting bows, that was the first time you punched yourself in the face because you're
I forgot about it.
Yeah,
I didn't even remember you showed me the video here today.
Yeah,
apparently I need a new release. That's not for those of you who've seen my video of me punching myself in the face. Time for a new release next year.
Correct.
I guess I'll have to spend more money. John, let's hear what got you in it.
And it time's up. Well. Yeah. I don't know, like Niko said, I can't stand to watch TV. Like, I would say 99.9% of the hunters out there are working class hunters. They work to hunt, right? They spend their own money. They set up their own spots. They've got their own leases. What they can afford is what they do, and they don't get enough light as a working class hunter. And for me, I want to show more people that that aren't into hunting what it is that we do, not necessarily in the woods, because anybody can go on TV and say, oh yeah, I shot this huge buck, here's this video of me shooting a huge buck, but they don't necessarily show you what goes into it, professional or not, setting of food plots and raking. You got to do all the stuff, set your stands, scout the land. It's a whole year process. But on top of that, even moreover, is how do they get to that point? Well, they have to work a job, whether they work at Kinko's or they're firemen or they sweep floors for a living. You don't really get to see that aspect of it. And the professional world is almost too fake for me because we sit around and BS at the firehouse all day. And Chris Daly and I, another one of the Times Up Outdoors guys, you'll see him, I'm sure, next year or on this bunny hunt I think we got coming up.
Yes.
We talk all the time about you set the 90% of hunters out there, you set them in that same stand that all these professional hunters are in. We're shooting that same buck. The difference is they didn't really have to work for it. No, I'm not saying these guys are terrible hunters or whatever. They're the greatest hunters probably in the world. It's a different world, right?
Guys got to go to work.
Exactly. Guys have to work every day. Like, we haven't done a hunt together. It's been Niko and I, because you're on a different unit, and it just doesn't work out because we're still working all of this stuff.
We sat once, and each of us sat once with me.
Right.
But just filming with.
Correct. We've all sat with each other, but none of us have sat together. We haven't got to go out.
No. The last time the three of us were together was the day before opening day of bow season.
Right. Correct.
So it's been a whole deer season since then.
Yeah, October, November, December.
So pretty much what happened, like you were saying, I called Niko's dad was my boss when I was a trial man. And I remember him saying something to, oh, my son's a cameraman for Chris Brackett and all that. And I knew who Chris Brackett was. I was like, oh, cool, man. And I remembered that. So when Bruce McMurtry, another Time's Up guy, we hunt the same lease. When him and I were talking, they're like, hey, let's start filming some stuff. You know, we just started on a whim probably a year ago. Just maybe we'll use the footage, maybe not. But when it started getting more and more like real, I started looking at other guys on a job. I first went to Scott. He's like, talk to Niko. I'm like, oh, Tani. I was like, oh, yeah, he is on a job. That's the guy. So then I called your dad. And got your number off him. He was like, hey, I'm in too. So we've got a nice group of guys. And I got a hold of Niko. We met up at a bar, and here we are.
I think the biggest thing that kind of connected the three of us was it's not that, oh, these guys on TV do this or that and we don't like it. It's that you see them go sit in a tree and they do their part and they sell the show their way. And that's how TV is made and outdoor television is done, and they do it better than anybody else. That's why they have the shows. But you don't see the rest of their year, the rest of their job. That's why we don't really have an off season with this. It's year round. You're going to see us do stuff all the time. And our episodes are going to come from year round, whether it's small game, bow fishing, deer, God only knows what. When we go out west and shoot, we've got a bear hunt scheduled in August, a bunch of waterfowl you guys have already seen. So it's more than just here we are, here's what we're trying to do, and here's how it's done. You're going to see us putting in food plots and hanging tree stands and all the working stuff with it. And I think that's why we all wanted to do it, just to show there's more to hunting than just sitting in the tree and look, it's dead.
Right. And two, I would say it's probably, I don't really know the timeline of our podcast here, but rolling into maybe the next segment.
I'm going to try to get this up the first of the year.
No, I'm talking about for this, like what we're going into next.
Right.
But rolling into that, I think it's probably appropriate to tell you that on TV, I would say 90% of the shows, again, you see them, you turn on a hunting channel, you're going to see them crush a big buck or a mule deer or something huge. They're going to kill it.
Yeah, 90% of the time, 99% of the time.
Right, they're going to kill something big. But
kill sell.
I would say 90% of my year has been disappointing, and I've been able to share that with everybody. It's
well, me too. Michigan. I mean, until the very end, So I think, like, all right, so, you got both of them and how they got into it, how I got into it. And like I said before, me and John, we've been on the job for a little bit longer than him in Detroit, so we got no time on the job at all. And we kind of thought that being that we're firemen, all three of us have the same job. We got that kind of aspect that's different from other people, but in the industry. But to me, one of the big things about Time's Up Outdoors, when John asked me, right away I was on board because I'm like, all right, he's asking me to share stuff that I'm passionate about.
Something
already.
that
I'm already doing it.
Right.
I'm going in the woods every year. I always deer hunt. I always rabbit hunt. I fish, do all those things. So I figured, I also, as he said, the social media guru. I'm already pretty well versed with the social media stuff, sharing that stuff online, and let's face it, this is the generation. The only way to get through to this younger generation now is by sharing things on social media.
100%.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like it or not. Because a lot of people don't like it. You either get with the times or you don't. And if you want to, you read articles all the time now, especially now, saying, the deer hunting is dropping. There's 200,000 less people in the last 10 years in just Michigan alone. Now I'm not sure on the stats on other states, but that's a big drop. And if it continues, where's the funding going to come from for wildlife conservation and management, and something that I'm passionate about? I don't want to see deer hunting go away. I don't want to see hunt go away. I want our outdoors to be, to thrive, our wildlife to thrive. And I think that getting, if at the very least, if Time's Up just got a few people interested in hunting and fishing and being in the outdoors, camping, hiking, whatever, then we're doing a service to something that we're passionate about. So right off the bat, when John asked me, I thought, that's the first thing that came to my head was, all right, sharing things nowadays is the way to go with getting through to people, getting a message out. So something I'm passionate about, these two are passionate about. That's my why. That's why I decided, this would be fun. And I mean, like I said, we're doing it anyways. We're out there. I never filmed anything.
It's not a burden. Yeah, it's not. It is a pain in the butt to go out there and set your cameras up.
Yes. It's
but
huge.
At the end of the day, it's worth it. I mean, if for no other reason to show your buddies or just you, like, either look at me kill this deer or look at me completely whiff on this deer or whatever.
The good times, the bad times. I mean, already this season alone, I got a good buddy of mine who I work out with who had no interest in hunting at all. Never, ever did. He had a handgun. That was the only firearm he owns. He started listening to me talk about this thing, and he's like, well, that sounds kind of cool. And he listens to podcasts, too, and he listens to Joe Rogan, and then people talk about eating wild game. So that also got him interested. But me and John took him out to his hunting property, his own property that he had, that his family had, and showed him some stuff. And the guy's nuts. He went out and bought a crossbow, he bought a Bushmaster, then he bought a muzzleloader. And he killed 2 deer.
He bought a muzzleloader?
He went and bought a muzzleloader.
Really?
He's been texting me all day today about going hunting on some island in the Detroit National Refuge.
Man.
He already did all the research. He's like, you can hunt there. He's like, we're going to have to take a canoe, though. I'm like, whoa, man. I was like, all right, well, calm down a bit. He's like scouting public land on Onyx maps and shit. Like, he went head first into it. So, to me, I was like, success. Right
100% for sure.
That's success. I mean, you get one more person involved, the more and more you get, the better off we are as hunters.
And we got a 12-year-old, his first ever buck this year.
Yep, 12-year-old.
Yeah. We got his first ever deer last year.
Episode 2.
Yep. Yeah, that already aired.
And
so, we're not trying to get rich. We know it's not a money thing for us. It's not, I want to be on TV and be famous. I don't want a TV show at all.
No.
It's strictly web-based for us, and I want it to stay that way.
Yep.
I don't want the TV lifestyle of it, and I don't think we're going to be good enough to kill that many big things to do it.
No.
But it's a platform where we can show our experiences and try to get other people going in it. Look you can go out there and do this yourself. We're just like you. We're Detroit firemen. We don't get a bunch of money, but we can make enough to do what we want to do when we sacrifice what we need to sacrifice to go out and hunt.
Right.
And have a lot of fun.
Correct. Like right now it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
8:15 on a Sunday. We both work tomorrow.
I don't.
Yeah. Well. I'll take a suck.
Yeah, I actually didn't.
Yeah, you never work. It's fine.
All you do is hunt.
So yeah, I did a lot this year.
I know.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much that's what. I mean, I guess if you wanted to, if you're listening to this and you want to know what to expect with Time's Up Outdoors podcast, similar to what we're sharing stuff on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, our YouTube episodes. Just videos in general, but for me, I mean, I'd like to form this podcast kind of like organically, like whatever it forms into. We're gonna probably be telling stories about hunting. I'd like to get some guys on here with more knowledge than me and actually interview them and ask them, turkey hunting, beaver trapping, stuff that I've never done. I've never turkey hunted. I've never trapped anything.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, we caught another beaver today.
Did you? Another one today?
Yeah.
So
nice.
If that's something you can look forward to if you want to tune in, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast on iTunes, because that's where we'll be. It's trying to be educational, entertaining, and tell some stories and maybe you learn something along the way. I mean, what do you think? How's that sound going to be for us?
I don't know. We'll play it by ear.
We'll figure it out. That's it. But
Can
that's
we edit that
It's super. Everything we do. Our videos are raw. Like they're edited, but it's raw. It's real. We're not sugarcoating things.
Nope.
If a goose gets shot in the face and gets crippled up, and then we got to shoot it again off the ground, you're probably going to see it.
It's for sure, 100%. You're going to see it.
And this is why if I biff on my my bowstring,
you're going to see it.
Smoke myself in my face. I'm going to show it to you because that's hunting. And if you think it's not, you're wrong.
That's hunting.
Speaking of that
hunters make mistakes.
That one thing you and I know Niko's the same way too, because he's been bringing Dugan out, and he went out with Dugan tonight. Saw how many deer?
Like 60.
Yeah, a lot of deer, but didn't get him lucky. You guys want to get people in? I'm all in too.
Do you guys know when we started this real quick?
Like 8. I looked.
Was it 8?
Okay, so it's
just before 8.
Cool.
Okay.
Keep an eye on time. All right, sorry for interrupting you.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, yeah. So you guys want to get, people in. I've brought people out. I know my stepfather, not my stepfather, my father-in-law wants to go out and kill a turkey. And so I'm going to put him behind a bow or a gun, whatever he wants to use. Get guys out duck hunting, all that stuff. But my number one thing is to show how real hunting is.
Yes.
Because I cannot stand it when people turn on the TV, watch a hunting show, and then come back and says, "Oh, you didn't catch a deer?" Like, no, I didn't catch a deer.
I think it paints a negative look.
100%, for sure.
If somebody doesn't know hunting, turns on TV, and they just see some guy shoot something.
Every time they go out.
Yep.
Every time, it looks like you're just shooting fish in a barrel.
And you're
fun.
just murdering
It doesn't
stuff.
show the hard work that goes. I mean, it is 100% fun, but it doesn't show all the.
And that's not to
negative
say
hard
that
work.
those guys didn't put in that hard work.
No, I'm not saying they didn't. That's just what
It's
gets
not-
shown.
It doesn't usually get shown typically on the
Yes.
shows, and we definitely want to show more of that. Even not just that, but I mean, if you follow us on Instagram, you see we're posting stuff from work all the time, just stupid crap, It's
Has nothing to do with hunting.
No, maybe cooking.
cooking, drive, whatever.
Maybe Niko handing upside
Crap.
down Atlanta 25.
Stupid crap that we do around the
Maybe.
firehouse. But I think as far as our why we're doing it and who we are, I mean, that's pretty much covered those bases, From going forward, this podcast, like I said, stories, education, learning about different hunting. It's not just deer hunting. I mean, that's my biggest thing is deer hunting. I like to fish a lot too, but this guy here, he's like
And that,
what don't you hunt?
that being said,
Yeah, nothing.
I've never goose hunted ever in my life. And when I came out,
You're a goose hunter.
no,
He's a duck hunter.
I'm a duck hunter. I've never shot a goose. Dude,
I don't duck hunt.
I joined. We joined forces at Times Up Outdoors. 2 days later, I'm in a blind with a bunch of guys
Shooting a
just
9-man
hammering geese. Like,
just laying them out.
to me, that's kind of pretty sweet.
Which watching that video made me want a goose hunt. I've never wanted
Right,
a goose hunt.
and it does that with
More.
everybody.
Never ever did I ever want a goose hunt ever. Why does goose and duck hunting got to be all around deer hunting?
That's horrible. It's
I
definitely.
just don't have the time to
hurts so
dedicate to
bad.
both.
We could go in like March and shoot snow geese.
My dad's got a guy that works is the owner of his company's son, and the owner of his company. They're big waterfowl hunters, and he said that once you start duck hunting, you'll never deer hunt again.
Yeah.
And he told me that, and I was like, that was years ago, and I was like, oh, I'm never gonna duck.
I wouldn't say that.
Ask Drew Richardson about that. The biggest duck hunter I know. He shot his first ever deer with a bow this year because his dog was on commission. That dude got hooked.
Oh, yeah,
he
the dog
went and
had
bought
a cold
Brandon
tail or something.
Matthews the next day.
Deer hunting.
Sucked him right
There's nothing
in.
like
See, but that's
They're different rushes.
Yeah, it's just a different rush, right? Yeah. I mean, like I
When
said,
it's
I'll
cold,
go
windy,
out.
and rainy, I'm duck hunting.
Yeah.
When it's perfect for deer, I'm deer hunting.
I'll go out duck hunting and have a great time. I mean, we went. I was out all day today. I saw approximately 2,000 ducks.
How many did you kill, John?
0. Okay, you know what? I killed no ducks. They were just too far, man. They would not commit. This late in the
How
season,
many times did you shoot, John?
I shot 0 times. Listen. I'm hunting Portage Lake, public water. There's everywhere that is possible for you to hunt. There's a hunter there. So I'm hunting 100 yards
So
away.
it's like deer hunting, public land.
Yeah, 100%. It's the hardest thing to do.
Pumpkin patch.
Oh my, it's ridiculous.
You don't
I think
wear orange when you duck hunt, do you?
Certainly not.
no.
See, I don't know
Do not
anything
wear
about
orange.
duck
Do not wear orange.
They can see color.
Oh, they can see color.
Yeah. So can turkeys.
See, I'm learning things.
Turkeys
If you're
can-
listening to this and you're not learning something already,
That video of that guy
Mr.
getting
Duck
shot
hunting.
while turkey hunting and everybody comments on it. He should have had his orange on.
Yeah, well then you never would have saw that
Yeah,
turkey
well,
to
then
get
you're not
shot at
shooting.
anyway.
Exactly.
I knew you didn't wear turkey hunting. So we're gonna have to kill some turkeys this year.
Kill a
That's
ton
we're
of
gonna kill a
turkeys.
lot
I
of
can't wait. I'm
turkeys.
excited. I got
So
all
many
kinds of turkeys on my property, and
Because both of your lovely ladies want to shoot turkeys as well, don't they?
I'm gonna make her shoot something.
Trisha's definitely shooting a turkey.
From Santa. Why'd your
That's-
laptop just do that?
I don't know.
What's first up on our little agenda you got written out there?
What does that say? Oh,
It says Merry Christmas from Santa.
Who's Santa?
My screensaver.
Is that Amanda?
I don't know. It must be. All right.
Are you texting her right now?
No, I love you.
He's trying to see.
Speaking of which, I was duck hunting and I got
Oh, I had some funny things.
I got probably a 3-foot thorn in my finger right now.
So
that nobody's concerned
so you
about.
gotta bear with us. What?
It's a huge thorn. It's like
3
killing.
foot, John.
It's 3 feet long.
3 feet long?
Yeah, it probably tells her 6
Alright.
inches too.
You gonna be able to work? You want us to drive you to the firehouse?
It is, darn it.
Anyway,
So, this is new, obviously. It's our first episode.
this
We don't
is-
know what
it'll
we're
be
doing.
sweet.
I think it's gonna grow and be better. As
Only
it
4
goes
people
on.
are gonna hear this anyway.
Yeah, like literally, who cares? You know,
It'll be fine.
the 4 people that listen, they probably love us because they're our moms and dads.
Yeah, I was saying 2 of which are Tantis. Actually, 3 of which. It's
My
gonna
mom's
be
gonna listen. Tell all her friends how great we are. It's
gonna be Hunter.
Actually, listen to it.
Hunter, Pearl, and your dad are gonna all.
Yeah, there's no way my
All
dad's
our other
listening to this
friends
whole
are gonna
thing.
listen to it. They're gonna
No.
be like, these guys.
He's gonna
I've
get
never
10
had a
minutes in and be
conversation
like,
this long with my dad.
Yeah.
We've taken 15-hour car rides together.
yeah, that's.
It's better that way. So we got the who we are and what time's up means. To
I like
us.
how you got your laptop sitting here,
Yeah.
and
Thanks
that's
for
on
looking
your
stuff
phone.
up, man.
No, yeah, this is for Google. You know how Jamie does it on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, he's
Young Jamie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Are-
Jamie.
you're young Jamie?
Because if you throw out some crazy stat, man, I can't just be like, yeah, and
Gotta
then
go-
not
gotta be able to look it up.
If you're like,
You're already
50,000
exaggerating your
blah,
3
blah,
foot
I'm like,
thorn.
all right,
It is
let's
3
see,
feet
is
long.
John's thorn really 3 feet? Google says you're lying. It says you're full of crap.
Well,
Google says 4
because right now all it has on it is Facebook.
Facebook, Twitter, which I don't know how to use.
I got you.
LinkedIn, which is annoying because I get emails all the time. Do you guys get LinkedIn emails? What is LinkedIn?
No, I've never used it.
I heard it's like Facebook for adults or something.
I don't want to do it. Hold
Neither
on.
do I.
Let's get back in here.
Wait, what are we What are we doing
Yeah,
here?
you see the weird things?
Let's wrap up our 2018 deer season.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got lots of time.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's that's what I want to do.
Who's
I
going
wanna talk
first?
about- It's the end of 2018.
Well, how about I
I've
go
got one
first
hunt left.
because
What-
He's gonna
It's
hunt
not-
one
it's
more
not
time.
over
So
yet.
this something big is gonna happen tomorrow.
Well, nothing that big can happen. We're shooting does.
It's gonna be a big doe.
wait,
So
Let's let John
one more
go
day
first.
for him.
I'm gonna go first
I'm done. You're gonna
because
go first. Let's
my
talk about our deer
season is
Are you shooting the
depressing.
doe, John?
When?
The first.
You could have
We
went
got
today.
one more day.
I'm just
Oh
saying.
yeah, I do have
Hey.
one more day.
Yeah, and you could have went today.
All I know is that I
Duck
know
was duck
there
hunting.
isn't a whole lot of deer out on the lake. Could have went today.
Just saying.
There's that video of Phil Robertson shooting one on the lake.
Maybe I should bring my bow in the boat. How about
Always
that?
Something.
I don't know. Maybe, but that's not 2018. At that point, it's a
I'm
2019.
worried
season.
now. Like
It's the same.
I know there are deer out there that have dropped their antlers already.
I saw 2 yesterday.
Yeah. So what? How
Yeah, you
pissed
see-
would you be if
you
you
see
shot
just
one?
a-
You can tell, man. You can tell a
I
buck
mean,
when
you
he walks
can,
out.
but
If you just
when
gotta
you're
take your
all fired
time.
up.
There's 40 deer walking out. Take your time
yeah.
and pick one. If it's by itself, it's a buck.
For
If
sure.
it's by
Yeah, for
itself,
sure,
it's a
for
buck.
sure.
Not to mention, it's gonna have still a rough neck. It's gonna be huge.
Yeah, they come walking out and they got that swagger to
Yeah.
them. They kind of like pop their shoulders like all gangster looking when they walk. Just pay attention
Don't
to it.
shoot him.
Shoot the one with the super long face and
Mm-hmm.
the extra long ass. It's a doe, a big one. Shoot her.
I'll try. I'll
What
try.
happened to
hunt
your deer
first.
season?
My
Tell
deer
us
season
about your
sucked.
deer season.
Well, break
It didn't suck. My deer season was awesome. I took my furloughs and everything all in October, so I
Furlough means
hunted.
vacation.
Furlough is
Yeah,
vacation.
you were off a lot.
I was off October.
showing pictures of your face.
It was awesome. I did a lot of scouting early bow season.
Can't do it.
We were real late on a drop though. Me and Bruce put in a food plot, so we just
Don't say the word drop. Funny fireman, listen to this.
late on the drop. Oh,
Drop.
yeah. Oh my God.
That was for Brandon Carter.
That's another thing. Anyway, we were real late, so we put out, went out there, tilled it up, threw down some clover and a little bit of just cover crop.
You guys did a ton of work out there.
A lot of work. We cut down a lot of trees and all that stuff. So that probably hurt a little bit. Well, so we thought, but
Probably didn't know.
on the first, leading up to that, we're watching our crops grow. Probably planted 2 weeks before opening day. I was like, this stuff is not going to grow. But opening day, we probably had 12-inch crops, which was sweet, and then it was pretty warm, so it continued to grow. We were getting good pictures on camera. We had a nice 10-point that I was after all year long, and I saw him.
That
on
was
the
a big
hoof.
deer. I
it
can
was
verify.
a very big deer.
Pictures?
I
Or you
filmed
saw
it.
them in prison?
Yeah,
I was
he filmed
hunting him
it.
with John for like 3 days. I couldn't kill
Oh,
it.
see, I haven't seen the video yet.
He's big.
I need
But
to see it.
so opening day, Niko and I sat in one of the plots, and Bruce sat in the other one. And the Big 10 and the Big 8.
Wind right at you.
Yeah, no, it was actually sweet. It was going right to the south, so it was perfect for both setup. But he saw that thing on film, got it on film, it stayed out like 160 yards. And so he just filmed it. You know, I got good pictures of it. He comes out with this other 8 in a bachelor group for 2 weeks. And so I'm hunting him. I'd hunt over here. He'd pop out on the south. So I could not get a pattern on this deer at all. I say a week later, now it's late bow season. I get a pattern on him. I'm like, I'm going to kill this deer out of this stand. We put a little hanging hunt.
Hold on. Before we go, we got to talk about that pattern because I've never seen anything like a deer that did what he did.
What? No. It was impressive because the way that our property is set up, you've got bedding areas on the east side and also the north. And so I would pattern him. You know, I would obviously want the wind in my face. You know, try to get into somewhere that we're in between his bedding area and his food, which obviously we've got 100 acres of turnips plus 2 plots. And so I'm putting myself in these positions based on the wind direction.
Expecting him to move with his wind in his face.
With the wind in his face. But this deer did not do that.
Yeah.
The deer would move out with the wind to his back at all times. It was impressive.
Never seen a deer do that.
And so I figured this out, you know, a week before, I said 2 weeks probably before gun season. Or before, you know, end of bow season rather. So I go out, do a little hanging hunt. I'm like, here we go. This is it. I'm going to kill this deer today. It was perfect wind. The wind with his pattern, it was going to the west. And I'm sitting right there where he's going to come out, and he's bedding in this CRP in the back. Like, all right, there he is. You know, I hear some rustling. I got his does coming out, little 6, little 7. And then I see that 8-point run out. And then I hear just tines hit behind me in the woods. I'm like, this is it. You know, right where that 8-point came out, that's a 40-yard shot. I'm going to kill this deer. Awesome. Well, about 100 yards down the line, north of my stand, I'm looking, I'm waiting for this deer. I'm standing up, and I see the biggest buck of my life walk out of this wood line. I didn't see the 10-point walk out, which I don't know what happened with him, if he got spooked up.
This is a different deer?
This is a different deer, a bigger deer, like a 140-inch deer.
Okay.
And I'm not talking like a fisherman, like, dude, it was that, no. It was a sizable 140, yeah, it was a.
How big would you say the 10-point is?
I'd say that the 10-point was probably.
He's in 130s.
He's probably 130s,
okay.
Yeah, maybe low 130s,
this
maybe high 120. This other one's monster. It's a monster deer. So I see him come out, and he's looking at that 8, and he runs back in the woods. Like, okay. And so now I hear him in the woods, so thick back there I can't see it. So, you know, I hear him. He's working his way back there, and I hear him stop. And right now I'm just frozen standing up, and now I've got 10 minutes of daylight left. I sat there for 1 hour. So 10 minutes, the daylight broke, and I stood up there with the bow in my hand, did not move because I couldn't hear him leave. I heard nothing. So
there's video proof of this for 1 hour.
You were there?
No,
I've got an hour of footage of me just standing because I couldn't turn anything off because I didn't want to move. And so now I got just everything getting dark and me just standing there like an idiot. And next thing I know,
make an episode on that.
Yeah, right.
An hour at John's stand.
This was the worst moment of my life. I'm like, okay, well, he's got to be gone or something.
It wasn't the worst.
This is the worst thing because I said,
I've been there for worse.
I say, okay.
We went to the academy together, okay?
This is true. This is true. Anyway, I'm like, all right, this thing is gone. So I hang my bow up and I get ready to turn my camera off. And next thing I hear is, and just bullying through the woods. There he goes. He gone. And my heart sunk to my butthole.
See, I've never even heard this story.
Dude, it was so bad.
He called me. I had to talk him off the.
Oh, no, I do remember this story.
Because I called everybody on the way out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
oh!
Did you call Dean, too?
The only person that settled my gripes was Dean. It was Niko's dad because he did the same thing on his big buck that I'm sure you guys have seen on Time's Up. He did the same thing a week prior, the night you shot your 9-point.
Yeah.
Because Dan Pinchak called him in the woods. He forgot to turn silence his phone. It was Dan Pinchak called him. And so his phone's blowing up, and as he's just about to line up on this deer.
There's at 25 yards, he's ready to draw.
He came in when we were skinning Niko's buck, and he's like,
No, all these guys.
I'm just going to. I'm going to bed.
Listen to this
Oh yeah. They're all getting tagged.
You're in this, so you gotta listen.
So anyway, that happened to me, and now I'm hunting. I'm just hunting the 10 point at this point. I'm like, this thing is gone forever. And your dad told me some good stuff. He's like, you know what? He's not going anywhere. He's got no reason to. He's got bedding. He's got the food that he needs. He's like, he's not going anywhere. Just move that stand. You can never hunt that stand because that's going to be a checkpoint. Well, he was right, because 2 weeks into gun season, one of the guys that I'm hunting with saw him on the hoof. He's got a picture of him on his camera, and he saw him. He was actually waiting for one of his buddy at the mouth of my field that I hunt. And he saw him just standing right there looking at him. And so he just backed out.
So he was still alive a little bit into gun season.
2 weeks in, yeah.
He might have made it.
I know. So that was that. But all in all, it was a good season. I was so sick to my stomach that I couldn't really bear to hunt anything, and then.
You didn't really gun hunt at all, did you?
No, I didn't really gun hunt.
Well, you had to go back to work finally.
I did. Yeah, I had to make up for those days. Those days are traded with another, and that was gun season. Because you know what, both seasons my pride and joy, and it almost pains me to say that I really enjoyed duck hunting. So
I got nothing against that.
So it's been a wild duck hunting, but what I did learn.
You guys got to get me out there duck hunting so that I can figure this out.
Yeah, you're in.
So I'll tell you about the duck season. We duck hunted a bunch. I usually duck hunt by myself. My dog was his first year out duck hunting, which today he did great, which is weird because he wasn't that great when I was hunting with him solo. So I met up with my neighbor a couple weeks into duck season, and he was like, yeah, I'm a big duck hunter. He's got a nice duck boat and everything. So him and I have been kind of tearing up the chain of lakes. We didn't really. It's public water, so it's not. We're sitting right next to other people, but I'd say we got our fair share of mallards and buffies and all that here and there. We only limited out one time. You know what a buffy
Scott
is?
has no idea what a buffy is.
Let's save it for another episode.
You don't know what a bufflehead is? Okay.
No,
anyway.
It's a cute little duck.
The extent of my
it's like, dude, it's the cutest little duck.
My duck knowledge is they like Cheetos off the back of my boat in the marina.
It's like this, dude. It's like
They're
you can hold it in your hand, little tiny round head.
Cute little
dude, they're sweet. I wanted to mount one.
Here, look here, I'll show you.
Yeah, look it up, Mr. Guy.
Let's pull it up. We're talking about.
I don't even click that one.
Oh no, that's not the one. We're talking about Buffy. You said
Bufflehead.
A bufflehead.
Buffle.
Scott's never seen a bufflehead.
When we edit this,
we killed a
this
bunch
video,
of those.
We're gonna put it up there.
We killed
so
a
you can
bunch
see
of
it on
those.
See images. Bufflehead. Whoa.
Not that one. That's not
This
a
one?
bufflehead.
This one?
That's a bufflehead.
That one?
Yes.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Man, I'd love to shoot one of those. It sounds messed up, I know, but thankfully only hunters are probably gonna listen to this. I'd love to kill one of those hanging on my wall. I want to eat it too.
Anyway, we killed a bunch of buffleheads, all that stuff. So that's. It wasn't the greatest season ever, but I've definitely had way worse.
They taste good?
I mean, they're good. They're not. They're
a diver duck.
They're a diver duck, so typically they're a little like fishy or gamey.
Yeah.
But
Steven Rinella would say you're crazy if you don't eat it though.
They're
Well, yeah,
for sure. I mean, absolutely.
Everything he kills.
Mergansers, I will not shoot a merganser.
He did. We saw that episode.
He ate a what?
A coyote.
Did he?
He cooked it with the fur on and everything over a fire.
He also ate a monkey. So
I'm trying to make a Steve Rinella, but I don't know if I'm going to eat a coyote because he said to.
I would
No.
try a coyote.
So?
But they taste like, they're kind of like mergansers, but they're better because they're smaller.
Well, I heard certain ducks taste like the bottom of a lake.
Yeah,
That's the best way it was
Diver ducks.
described.
That's
Okay.
diver.
Call them fish ducks.
So, yeah, it's just they eat, that's what they eat.
Yeah, they pick the rocks.
They were talking about,
People don't know how to cook though.
that's the other thing I think.
Yeah.
People say venison sucks too, and they're
Right.
idiots. So
They say everything tastes gamey.
Yeah.
Like,
you
really?
don't know how to cook.
No.
Yeah, you haven't read Steve Rinella's cookbook yet.
But all in all, it was depressing. But what I did learn, the one thing that I did take from my deer season at least, is
That one.
never
That's wood duck.
That's sweet.
never underestimate the power of a deer to just completely blow your mind of what you think you know. Like I was saying, how I patterned that deer, I'm sure he was doing it all year,
Yep.
but I just couldn't get a pattern on him with the wind direction
But he's
because
still out there.
Let's hope
Well,
so.
we would
because
know
he's
if
going
John
to be,
wasn't racist against trail cameras.
well, you know
Yeah,
what?
what?
Trail cameras.
You don't run
John
trail
won't
cameras.
run trail cameras. He's
No.
the only person that bow hunts in 2019 that won't
Why?
put a trail camera out.
Don't
Do you want
waste
to know the
time?
main reason?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to know the main reason?
I do.
Because I'm a fireman.
That doesn't make any sense.
Makes no
I'm a
sense.
fireman.
We're firemen too.
I have
I'm broke.
15 trail cameras.
Oh,
That's
I
an
get it.
easy Christmas gift from your wife.
Not to mention, I don't know.
because I'm a fireman.
I'm just over there, like, it takes away kind of, like,
It
the.
takes nothing away.
It doesn't take it
My
away.
dad
I'm
won't
not.
use it for
I'm
the
not
same
saying you're.
Does he?
He likes the anticipation of not knowing
Exactly.
what's out there.
Yeah, I guess if you go out there, you have no idea what you're
Exactly.
That
And
was
so,
cool when I
okay,
was
so hear me
14.
out.
But
Let me tell
yeah,
you. Let me
right.
tell you.
I wanna know.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, ask me the question.
If you didn't have trail cameras and you didn't know Stan existed,
Don't talk
okay?
about Stan.
I'm telling you. And
I don't know if Stan's still alive.
let's say you set up this stand and you're like, oh my gosh, there might be a big buck out there, and then you go out there, pull your card, and there's nothing.
Been there a lot.
Nope, and there's nothing.
Yeah, it happened a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And then he would show back up the next
But
week.
you still sit in that stand. Why? Because now you're just like this. You're like, ooh.
Well, no. I'd
No.
like to point out that the buck I shot this year, I had 0 pictures of.
Yeah, me too.
And I
Yeah,
had,
but you had other huge.
I have pictures of one of them.
The only reason, and I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you didn't have that camera that showed that you had nothing, when you went and sat in that stand, you would literally have anticipation the whole time.
I see
You're
you-
right.
I see
I
you.
see
That,
what you're saying.
that's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
one point. My other point is that I just enjoy the scouting portion. To me,
Okay.
my 2018 deer season was I didn't kill anything, but it was awesome because I got to scout that Big 10 point from start to finish. You guys are looking up ducks?
Dude,
We're trying to do a podcast and you're
I
over
look
here
at
looking
it.
up
Nico's
ducks.
got the size of a duck's penis. Depends on the
I didn't
company.
type that in, by the way. I was already done. Why
I
did,
just happened to look just then. What is this? This is literally an article about the size
This
of
is
a
a
duck's penis.
this is a family-friendly
All right, it is.
podcast.
It's just,
We're
it's
talking about.
anatomy. It's just anatomy.
what did, I gotta. Let's just save that article.
Yeah,
I wanna
I'll
read it.
email it to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
All right, so I see what you're saying on the whole trail cam thing. I really do, because and then there are times like last season I went out, my lease sucked. All I had was little tiny bucks. There was nothing on camera that was exciting to me. There was one deer, and I had seen him on the hoof before the season opened when I went out there to hang trail cameras.
It scared him away forever.
No, we had just gotten the lease, like we got it in September, so.
So what you're
I
telling me is
had-
the
I
only
had-
time that you saw that buck was actually in person and not on a trail camera?
No, I saw him in person, and then I had him on trail cam.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
So
you saw
I
him in
went out
person
there to
first.
hang tree stands with my stepdad, and then we put a couple cameras up, and I saw him on the hoof in our little patch of woods, and then I saw him again on camera a couple times, but I never saw him during the day. Now I did see other bucks that I saw on camera, one of which he's next year's hit lister.
Has to die.
One a hit lister, he has to go because I've got him 3 times. So.
Well, what about your 2018
You want
deer
me to go
season?
next? You want to go next?
I'm gonna go next because
Yeah, you go
your
next.
story's got a better finish than mine.
You got it done early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Way
I filmed
early.
John. I had the first 5 days of October off. Coincidentally, of course. And I filmed John the first 3 days because we were chasing that buck around. And then the wind wasn't right for his place, so we went to my place. But I didn't have any shooters that I was really happy about on the farm with the wind on that particular farm. I had no bucks that I was
I
like.
thought you had that big, the
he
Big
was-
10 point.
He was like a borderline shooter. But I would have shot him on camera because I
Do
want
it for the vine?
Yeah, exactly. So John and I go out. It's windy as hell. October
John was a
4th.
fine guy.
John probably was a fine guy.
He was.
Hey, you know what?
We found it. In the
Let's
academy.
tighten
Spend
up.
the
I had a life before here, okay? Damn it.
Go ahead.
So October 4th, super windy, like super windy. And we do a little hang and hunt. We hang John a camera stand in the absolute worst spot for him.
I was gonna say, why are you laughing, bro?
Because it was funny. I look back at poor John, who hung his own stand, by the way, and he is sitting on the platform filming with his feet hanging off of it because there was a branch the size of his torso around right where his head should have been. So he had to sit. But anyway, I'm going to try to keep this short because it's a really long story.
It is.
The video is episode 1, right? Episode two.
Yeah,
Episode
if you wanna know
2.
the
That's
whole
right
story,
before
so
Dugan.
go
You wanna
back-
get the whole
go
deal.
back and watch it.
It's an awesome video. You need to be seen because it was pretty sweet.
YouTube Times Up Outdoors.
There you go. So we're sitting there. John gets a phone call from work because, he did all these vacation days and all this craziness that he's supposed to be at work. So we're in a panic. John's trying to figure out. He's on the phone. I'm on the phone. It's still dark.
Mind you, it's like prime time. It's not dark. It's
getting light.
It's prime time.
Yeah, it's getting there. And all of a sudden, as we're both on the phone, John hits me in the leg and points. And 19 yards away stands a buck. But we couldn't tell how big he was at the time. So we hang up our phones, and thank God it was windy. And I'm debating on if I want to shoot this deer or not. I can't really tell how big he is. I'm trying to look, and John's just telling me to shoot him immediately. Just shoot him. So I decided I'm going to shoot this deer after.
I didn't instigate.
It didn't really take much coaxing. When I saw how big he was, I was like, all right, I'm shooting this deer. So he's at 19 yards, quarter and 2 hard. And I get ready. I got my bow on him. I'm just waiting for him to turn to draw. And as soon as he turns, he runs. It's kind of like a weird gallop.
Yep.
Still don't know why.
Which is in the video.
Yeah, it's all whole thing's on there. I don't know
When
why.
I watched it,
When
I
you-
thought,
but
oh,
when
God,
you-
that must have
Yeah.
scared like,
Oh, it was horrible. The actual footage is bad words. So then the deer goes. He walks right in front of me broadside. John's freehand filming now because where this deer went, and he walks right in front of me. I give him a little bleat and stop him, and let it rip. And I thought I 12 ringed him. We all thought I 12 ringed him.
For sure. I mean, the video, we went back and reviewed it with your dad, and he was like, oh, for sure 12 ring.
Yeah, it looked
sure.
toast. He made a sweet. I've never heard a deer make the sound he made when I hit him, like this grunt growl.
Just all the air just leaving. We thought, it was like, this
He's
thing is dead.
Did a mule kick,
right
took
there.
off. Great blood at shot site. It hadn't been dark for 10 minutes or light for 10 minutes.
No.
So that deer was, we assumed, dead.
The only reason we made it out even an hour after daylight is because we waited him out.
Yeah, we were just sitting up there
just-
enjoying it now.
Just,
We had no reason to go anywhere.
calling people.
That was the only deer we saw that whole morning, for probably because we were hooting and hollering. So we get down, check the blood, looks great. Go back to the house, start tracking this thing, thinking he's gonna go 40 yards, and we're wrong. He's just going and going and going, and we tracked this thing. It was 700 yards,
Right.
and we finally bumped him. This is now 4 hours after the shot.
4 hours in, yeah. For about
Because
3.5,
it took like
4
3
hours
hours
in.
to get to
Yep.
where we went. We bumped him. There's no beds. I didn't think there was any
There,
beds.
there's one little bed area where it looked like he might have
Yeah,
sat
we
down.
later found out he did
Yeah.
because of Robert Miller. So we go back. I call Robert Miller with Michigan Deer and Tracking Hounds. That's who you need to call if you need a deer tracking hound, and do not hesitate to call him. So
how
call
far
him.
will he travel?
He will travel. He's gone down to Kentucky and
Oh, no
Missouri.
shit.
He'll
Okay.
travel.
Oh, really? Where's he out? Is he out of
He's out of Linden.
Linden?
Yeah. So he comes out right away. It had been like 6-7 hours now. He puts his dog Sergeant on this track. Sergeant runs the track in no time. From where John and I jumped him, John actually cut the last blood and jumped this deer.
From the shot site? Because he wanted to run the whole track again. He didn't want to
Yes.
go from last blood. So from where the shot site to where we bumped him, how long do you think that was?
It took us 3.5 hours and it was 700 yards. To
Yeah.
us. It took the dog less than 20 minutes to run that.
Yep.
To
The
run
whole thing.
700 yards in less than 20 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
whole thing. So dog runs that. We jumped him and backed out. The deer looked bad. You could see it. Like, that deer is definitely going to die. Get the dog just for peace of mind. Sure enough, the deer went about another 100 yards and died, and he was floating in the swamp where we
Yep.
found him, and it was awesome. Sergeant ran a great line. I think we would have found him without the dog, but having
For
the dog
sure,
there-
but
I learned so much about tracking that day.
That guy has probably seen more dead deer than all of us combined
Oh, in one season.
in one season, right?
Yeah.
That guy's tracked more deer than this whole state, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's insane. So yeah, that was it. I shot it was my second best bow kill. Looking back on it, yeah, second best bow kill. He's a 9-point with an 11-inch spread. His main beams crossed at the tip. He was so tight, but he was like 14 and 15-inch twos, and he was real tall off his head.
He didn't score for much.
No,
did
he didn't score very much. He scored right under 120.
Still a nice buck for Michigan, though.
Yeah.
I've got no complaints.
Did you get it
Oh,
aged?
yeah.
No,
Did they age it?
I assume he was a 2.5-year-old.
Right.
I kind of knew that going in. He was skinny-bodied, skinny, skinny head.
I say anything around 120 is a really nice buck in Michigan.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm not turning that down, especially on. I mean, that's it. I did not. So in Michigan, I did not see another Michigan deer bigger than him on the hoof all season. Now I went to Missouri for the first time, and I saw 7.
When was that?
bucks.
That wasn't that far into
Missouri?
Yeah.
First week of November.
first week, right? So
Yeah, from the 2nd to the 8th, we were there.
So you saw all kinds of big old bucks.
I saw 7 bucks in 1 week on public land somewhere I had never been. than I have ever seen in Michigan.
Was
I saw the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life.
Is that your first time doing a public land hunt like that? Out of state?
Yes.
That's pretty good. It's got to be
Yeah.
a feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah, it was sweet. Just studying maps and going for it.
Yeah.
Walking to where I wanted to hang my stand the first morning there, I ran into a 160-inch, 11-point freak, typical,
Jeez.
just monster deer. 50 yards away, just wanted to throw up.
Wow.
Got the full draw on a 130-inch 8-point at 19 yards, who when I stopped him, he turned to me. Couldn't get a shot. My dad got the full draw on another 130-inch 8. Had about 140-inch 9 with a kicker at 40-some yards. Couldn't get a shot. It was a great trip. We didn't get to shoot anything or to let any arrows go, but for public land, somewhere we'd never been, see that many deer.
How do you come back to Michigan and then continue your season?
I did what you did, and I started the duck hunt. Now, I went out in gun season a lot. I filmed a lot more. I actually did gun hunt harder this year than I normally do because I felt like there was a couple of deer on the farms that I was on that I thought were going to make it. One of them did. And I actually got a picture behind my house of a really, really nice buck who I'd never seen before.
When is this?
2 days ago.
Nice.
Very, very nice buck. So, yeah, that's pretty much mine wrapped up. If I was wrapping mine up, it was an awesome bow season. Shot a late
You left
sweet
out
footage.
all of the geese that just completely got obliterated.
Oh yeah, well the goose season was awesome. So yeah, it was a good year. I learned that there is definitely some impressive public land ground to be hunted out west. I will for sure be in Missouri. I'm actually going out there in March to go scout and shed hunt. And I learned that my Shiawassee deer herd is not decimated due to CWD, as stated beforehand. It's pretty good. I just saw 70 deer on it today, so I guess it's okay.
The CWD must not have got to
Livingston
them.
County's already in it, isn't it?
No.
Well, I hunt Livingston County too.
I could be wrong.
And I tell you what,
But I'm
it's
pretty sure
also
they are.
not-
Well, you know what?
I don't want to hear it. That's a different story for a different day.
Yeah, different.
Although, yeah.
We could get
It's
it.
because you
I
didn't
had to-
see any 7-year-old deer because they're all dead.
I had to make my
from
jab real
CWD.
quick.
All the 7- and 8-year-old
I
whitetail
feel
are
bad
dead from
about it.
CWD.
Tell us about yours, old boy Scotty.
So mine, I had a real good season. There was a whole lot of highlights and lowlights. So, am I too far away from it?
Probably, yeah. Okay.
Is this better?
Yeah.
All right, so
Find your happy medium.
my season was long, and Amanda, man, she let me hunt a lot this year.
Yeah, by the way, can we just take a real quick pause just to appreciate Trisha and Amanda for putting up with our shit like all season, like even like today.
Yeah,
They're super pregnant for one. They're super pregnant, super
Yeah, Amanda could have a
hormonal.
kid tonight. I might have to leave halfway through this podcast to go.
No.
Stop,
Yeah,
because then I'm
trust me,
coming with you.
She wouldn't want me to say that either. She's got to make it to the 5th. She said she gets some special room at the hospital. It's really fancy. I saw pictures of it. It's pretty cool.
Anyway, I'm just trying to say
you're
they're
right,
pretty
you're right.
sweet.
Honestly, yeah, you're right.
They're pretty sweet.
She really was a trooper with me this year, and I mean, not that she expected anything less. I was the same way last year and the year before that, and so she kind of knew what she was getting into. But she still puts up with it, and I thank her very much for that. But yeah, she did. She let me hunt a lot. My season started off the youth hunt weekend, early doe, and I took the kids out. Took our 8-year-old. She's never shot anything as her first year hunt. Well, last year she sat in the blind with me one day, got pissed off at me for not shooting a 5-point. That was real comical. I wish I had the camera back then. But she sat with me, her, and her brother. Her brother gave up his gun for that morning hunt, see if his sister could shoot something. That was pretty cool of him. And we sat and saw some deer, and she shot herself a nice little kind of a forky, spike-ish kind of deer. She was super excited. It was
That reaction video is probably the
reaction's
cutest
great.
thing I've
I
ever
was
seen in my
worried that
life.
she was gonna start crying, and she didn't.
That right there is probably worth it as a hunter and as a
dude. My season was
stepfather.
over. My season was over with. I honestly could have cared less after that. It was such a cool hunt that morning. So she got one, and then that night I sat with Austin in a tree stand, and he shot what ended up being a button buck, which disappointed both of us. But man, what really made me proud was that when he realized it was a button buck, and he didn't get a good shot on it. It was a gut shot. Took us a long time to track this deer. Found it 3 hours later, and it was still alive. We had to put it out of its misery. I could see the remorse on his face. He felt bad about the bad shot. He felt bad that it was a button buck. You know, I told him, I said, be proud. You put some meat in our freezer, and I know that you feel bad about this. You're not jumping for joy. That's an accomplishment right there. For me, I know, because I taught him. I feel like I taught him something. But,
well, the best thing, he taught himself something. He taught himself the biggest lesson is, and now next year he's going to take extra precautions to not do something.
It's
like
almost
that.
a necessary lesson that you have to learn.
For sure.
I was there.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody does it.
I mean, that's definitely something.
Yeah, that was cool to see the way he reacted. It was cool, and so I had two deer in the freezer right off the bat. That was nice for. I was not in a meat crisis. I still had a little bit left over from last year.
And is this their first time? Well, probably no. Is it?
Austin shot a real nice 6-point last year with his bow.
So they're
20 minutes into his first bow hunt.
That's pretty
Shoots
awesome.
his nice
That's
6-point.
sweet. So, but what I'm saying, this is their first time eating venison.
Trust me, he tells me all the time.
This is not their first time eating venison.
Oh no, they love venison.
All right. Okay.
Last year, Austin shot a buck, and so they've eaten venison, and they love it. All of them love it. Amanda loves it. Both girls love it.
I saw him eating the heart the other day. That video.
Dude, they freaking were begging me when I got home from work. They're like, "Can you cook your heart today?" Because it was in the fridge. Hey, can you cook the heart? I'm like, really? Okay.
Sweet.
So we cooked it up. They love it. So, anyways, moving on. You know, I started getting head first into my bow season, and I had some awesome trail camera pics. I mean, I couldn't have been happier when I checked those cameras the first time. The first time I checked those cameras, I had a massive 11-point. I got velvet pictures of him. I called him Stan. See, I can't even talk about him.
Stan.
His name is Stan.
His name is Stan.
I named my. It was the first time I've ever gotten into this whole naming of your deer thing. I'm not really sure if I'm sold on it yet, but I gave him a name. His name's Stan. I didn't give him a name until later on in the season when he started showing up regularly. So, anyways, I had 10 points, real tall 10 points, some wide 8 points, a big 6-point, just tons of bucks. At least 8 that I would have liked to put an arrow in.
You definitely had the best, as far as photos go.
Yeah.
Early season, you had the best.
Yeah,
bucks.
I mean, it was like
sure.
awesome. It was awesome. So going into it, I had a lot of anticipation on shooting one of those guys. But bow hunted a lot. Took my camper out there. I pretty much had my lease to myself. I got a 160-acre lease, and my dad and my brothers, they didn't really come out for bow season, or also it was all me. So John came out and filmed one night. Niko came out and filmed one night. Passed on a whole bunch of little bucks. Got some film of that. John was with me. We hung a stand. Did we hang that in the morning?
Yeah,
Or at night. We hung it.
We hung it at night.
Yeah, in a gnarly tree.
Oh, this is the stupidest tree ever.
It was a mess.
You need to take that down.
In fact, I wouldn't let anybody else hunt it. My dad's like, "Where's that tree stand?" I'm like, "You can't.
Do not
can't
get
hunt
in
it."
that.
I'm like, because every time I sat in it, I thought I was gonna fall out of it. It's a good spot. It's a bad tree. So hung that, and we had an 8-point come in.
Yeah, it was a good.
It came
115.
It was west of us, which was not my property. He came in, started walking away. We rattled him. He turned around and came right back to where we wanted him. Crossed over the border of our property, onto my property, and some CRP stuff. And you couldn't really see anything other than his head. It was so thick. So he's walking. I needed him to take maybe 2 more steps out into the cut beans.
Well, because he was walking in that CRP, and we were just seeing a little head bob, and he was just gonna follow that all the way down. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna lay a grunt down.
Yep.
And then, blow the grunt tube.
Yeah, he turns
turns
right
around.
around.
You know, he's looking for a fight. But that grunt call, what I've noticed, especially even this year, early for backtracking, they were hitting the grunt super early this year. Oh my God, they were responding to it.
That kind of reaction.
It was
with any kind of
incredible.
deer calls.
That being said,
That deer turned right around and came back.
well, they came right around. He was coming right out. But what I've noticed, especially this year, is if they don't see what they're looking for when they hear a grunt, it's going to spook them out.
Yeah,
and
he
this deer
he got
did.
to the edge of that CRP onto the cut crops, and I needed 2 more steps. I was full draw, and he turned around and went the other way. I was like, damn. Would have been my first bow kill. I haven't killed anything with my bow yet. Lots of deer with my gun. Anyways, let's shorten up this story. I hunted through bow, didn't see any of these deer. I had Stan on the camera consistently, morning, night, during the day. I mean, I got a ton of pictures of this deer, and he was hitting this one specific scrape a lot. I tried to get close to that. I tried to hunt off of that because it was on the border of some woods that I can't hunt on. So I couldn't even really figure out how to hunt this deer. I think he lives east of our property. So I never saw him. Coming into gun season, I hunt at my dad's every year for gun season. We have breakfast, all that. And then the next day I went to my lease and sat there with my brothers and my stepdad, who shot a nice 7-point. And then I sat with Austin, and he was filming, and I shot a pretty nice 6-point. Came in real early in the morning, and just bigger than anything I've shot before, which isn't saying a whole lot. But he came walking in, chasing some doe, and I shot him, dropped him right in his tracks. The film sucks. When I shot, Austin jumped, and the camera went everywhere. So then it goes back to a dead deer. And then 25 minutes later, maybe, a small buck comes onto our property from a cut cornfield across the way, and he's chasing some doe. I mean, we were seeing deer everywhere, bucks, does. It was crazy. It was like this crazy day in my mind of bucks chasing does. They were like everywhere. And Austin's like, "There's a buck," and I'm filming this buck, and I'm like, "Hey, you could shoot this one." I had just shot one, and he comes in chasing a doe, and Austin goes, "There's something behind it." So I took the camera and I looked behind it, and there's this monster. He's huge.
But it was not Stan.
It wasn't Stan, but it was real. And almost in the video, it looks like, it's hard to tell in the video, it looks like a 6-point, but a huge 6-point.
Just like it never grew any more tines on him.
Right.
Just more mass.
And I know I just said I shot a 6-point. I'm in the CWD zone, and your second tag is actually, you can shoot a 6-point again.
You get 2 regular
tags.
I'm
like, I immediately throw the camera at Austin and grab my gun, and then I think, dang, I just shot a deer. He's sitting with me. Should I let him shoot this one? No way. I even asked him, I said, "Hey, I know I just shot it." And he says, "No, you got to shoot it. You got to shoot it. That's huge." So I was like, all right. So I got that Bushmaster. I kept trying to range him. I wasn't getting a good range. My rangefinder was fogging up. I was freaking out. I thought it was at 200 yards. I did a little dial thing on my scope, the BDC, and shoot, in nothing. The buck just stands there and then takes like 5 steps behind some trees. I can't see him anymore. Sat there for 20 minutes. About 50 doe run out of the woods to my south, and he goes chasing after him. That was it. I'm like, son of a gun. So shot that deer, whatever. Move on. I had some really good days, some good sits. I started moving around a lot on my property. I started sitting in areas that these two guys were telling me, "You got to get over here. You got to get over here." I kept telling myself, I don't know how to get over there. So finally, I said, just go. I'm going to do it. I started packing in with my pop-up line on my back and just going and setting it up in random spots. And all the way through, no, I missed another deer. I missed 2 bucks this year. Remember
yes, you did. Yeah,
the
you
8-point.
Yeah, you did.
Another deer. I missed another deer.
Yeah, because that's when we're like, we need you to get you zeroed in.
Yeah, I
like,
thought something was wrong with my gun. I called my dad. I'm like, "What did I spend all this money on this gun if I can't shoot 200 yards with it?" Yeah, I shot and that was that 8-point. It was a big 8-point. It was next to that one that I sent you a picture of the other day that has one single on one side and 4 on the other.
Yeah, the footage.
They were together, and which I've had that guy on camera 2 years in a row now, and I've seen him in person 2 years in a row while hunting. He's my #1 hit lister.
Just to clarify, because it sounds like, for someone who's never seen your property, like you're just not able to get close to these deer and you're having to make longer shots. But your property is basically all field and CRP.
Yeah,
that's all it
mostly
is.
field and CRP and the little patch of woods.
So there's you're having to catch them. You have to figure out their travel areas, where they're going.
Everybody's just going to say, "Well, just hunt the CRP," but you can't.
The CRP area is 200 yards wide in almost every direction.
And it goes through your property.
Yeah.
Through field.
It's through your property, through a creek, and
it's a real tough property to sit and play the wind.
But it is a good chunk of land.
Yeah. So I missed another one during gun season. I kind of forgot about him. I must have pushed that out of my memory. Yeah, same thing. I shot him. He never did anything. He just stood there and then walked away. And then there was another bigger one, like 200 yards past him. I got film of both of them. So I was seeing bigger bucks this year that I've never seen. I've never seen bucks as big ever. I changed a lot of my strategies around. Started moving around more, getting more mobile rather than just sitting in the same spots every year.
And you went down to the south of your property where Niko and I told you to sit.
And I always knew it, but I just never took the.
It is a bold move. It's a tough spot to go hunt.
Yeah, it's a long walk, and it's a tough spot to get to. The wind's got to be right. I went out there during muzzleloader. It was literally the last day I was going to hunt. I had to take the camper to where we keep it at my dad's house. It was over with. No time coming up in the next 2 weeks. So I said, go sit there one night. I get all the way out to where I'm going to sit, and in my mind, I started listening to things that I've learned over the last few years listening to other podcasts, and I'm like, dude, you're sitting in the wrong spot. Why are you going to sit here? I'm on food, but I'm on food that I know I haven't seen any deer in. I don't even see tracks when there's snow there. I know where they're over there. They're all the way at the south side of my property. I know they're there. They're there every night. I see them there every single night. Go over there. Get close to that area. I had a south wind, so I cut right through that CRP, thinking, just the wind's playing right. I can get to the other side without busting anything on the other side of it. And so I snuck over there. It took me a while to get over there. I just went real slow. Got to the other side. I'm on kind of like a little ridge. Set up my little pop-up line, and I just sat there and all night didn't see a single deer. And then all of a sudden, I start seeing deer moving out into the corn to my left, and it's not my property. So I'm sitting there looking, and I see a buck, nice buck. So I got my camera on him, and now the sun has set. I actually videotaped the sun setting. So now I still got a lot of light, but I'm on this buck, and I'm looking at the camera screen. I'm staring at him, and he's got his head down for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, God, lift your head up so I can see what you are. Finally, he lifts his head up, and I see what he is. I'm like, oh, it's a pretty nice buck. And so now I take my eyes off him, and I look out on my field, and my eyes are all adjusted to this light. And I see two blobs. I'm like, I can't even tell what that is. Take my camera, zoom in, 2 bucks. Beautiful bucks, both of them. One's real wide, one's tall. So muzzleloader season was extended for use of all firearms in the CWD zone, so I had my Bushmaster with me again.
The one that he's not very confident with in the first place.
Yes. So I sat there, I wrestled with myself. I said, man, you've missed 2 bucks at 200 yards. This deer's 242 yards away. I ranged it, 242. This deer's standing still broadside. Pull my gun up, change the dial on it. I cannot get still. I mean, I'm all over this deer. Crosshairs, boom, up and down. I'm like, oh my gosh. My heart's pounding. Put the gun down, take my camera, zoom in on him again. I get some footage of him and the other buck. Trying to take, you can hear it in the camera. I'm breathing heavy. Put my gun back up, same thing. And all I got's a monopod. I'm like, man, you can't shoot this deer. You can't, because you can't even stay still enough to shoot it. So I said, I ranged him a couple more times. He's still 242 yards away. So finally, I feel like I'm starting to slow my heart rate down. I kind of talked myself out of shooting it. And so I slowed my heart rate down by doing that, I think. And I put my crosshairs on it. Now I'm like, okay, I feel better now. I'm a lot calmer. And he started walking away, and I just took the shot. He hit the ground and jumped up and ran. And I could see it. I knew I hit him just the way he ran away. I knew I hit him, but I didn't know where. I watched the footage. Looks like I hit him back. Starting to think that I hit him in the ass. Sent it to John and Niko. He's like, he didn't even hit him. Now, I'm not really sure how many beers Niko had in at that time, but Niko was like, you didn't even hit him. John's like, I'm coming out to help you. And I'm like, I don't even know if I have blood. I walk all the way out there where I think he is. 300 yards I walked. Like I said, the deer was at 242 yards. I walked 350 yards.
Correct.
In the dark, thinking I was going to where he was when I shot him. I looked for blood. I didn't find any. I'm so pissed. Go back to the camper. John meets me there. We look at Onyx map and do the little measuring tool. And it shows, he says, well, where are you sitting? Here. Well, where did you shoot him? Here. well, that's 350 yards. I said, no, he wasn't. He was 242 yards. He goes, you were looking in the wrong spot. So we drive our John's truck back out there into the field, go right to where we thought, 100 yards north of where I looked. Boom, blood everywhere. Okay, it's dark. Liver. We're not pushing this deer. We walked to the woods, found the blood to the woods. I didn't want to push in, so we went back to the camper. John doesn't know this. John says, well, let's go back out there in like an hour. And I'm thinking in my head, no, I want to go out there in like 6 hours. I'm like, I don't want to go out there in an hour. John's like, we'll go out there in an hour. We'll go look. We'll go back to the camper. We'll go look. So we go back to the camper to film some spines and me talking about nonsense and trying to say stupid shit, laughing and, whatever. So John says, I'm going to take a little nap. I said, perfect. I said, I'm going to let him sleep till I want to go out there. So he falls asleep, and I waited probably 4 more hours.
Trust me, I know that. Because I had to work the next morning.
Yeah,
and
I was
felt
like,
every single
I'm like,
piece
all
of
right,
that.
I'm going to let him sleep. I sat there and read articles about tracking deer and all these different things. Everything kept saying the liver shot will kill him.
A liver blood, you get a dead deer.
Everything I was reading was telling me what I already knew, but dead deer, they say if you don't kick them out of their first bed, it should be within 200 yards. So I was like, all right, 12:30 rolls around. It's been 7 hours. Let's go. So I wake. so then I try to wake John up. That took me another half an hour. I couldn't get him to get up. He wouldn't wake up. His dog was licking his face. I got the whole thing on video camera. It's all on that little thing. So anyways, I finally get him up there. We go out there, track it. What, 100 yards inside the woods?
Not even, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
the
so
same thing with Niko's deer.
He was probably less than 100 yards away from where I shot him. Maybe 100, 150, between 100
Yeah, about 150 yards. He did not go far.
He's dead in his first bed. Biggest buck I ever shot in my life.
Really good buck.
I mean, he what was his inside spread? 18?
18 even.
18 even?
What did he score?
He only measured one.
Well, he would have been 135 inches if his right tine matched his left, but his right tine was snapped off.
Was broken
his right
off.
G2
That's
was
right.
gone. His
That's
left
right.
G2 was 11 inches.
Yep.
Just over 11. So
That's a big deer.
Beautiful,
in the
beautiful.
120s without 11 inches of antler.
Super happy with my deer. I mean, it's
That, a great buck.
That being
first
said,
buck I'm getting put on the wall, shoulder mount.
the next morning I went to work and I showed, which it really pissed me off. I showed Chris Daly that video. I'm like, yeah, check out this shot. He's like, oh yeah, liver shot. He was like, that thing's dead like 100 yards. I was like, really? It would have been nice to know that though, because he was like, oh yeah, the way that it folded, like turned over, because you could see the arch in his back, and just folded over.
So that's where that experience comes on.
Yeah, because he's 100. He's been
Chris Daly to come in here and talk about that.
Right. Chris Daly's been hunting for longer than I've been alive.
Right.
So
yeah, that was my season, man. It was awesome. I got four deer in the freezer. Well, 4 bucks. Button buck, a spike, a 6-point, and a nice 9-point, nice big 9-point, and it was a great season. I learned a lot. I learned that I need to get off my ass and walk farther and do a little bit more scouting this year and get into some areas that I'd never been before, because that paid off for me big time in the end. And it was a good season, a real good season. It's over now.
I know we're short on time, but
Yeah,
because
we're cutting it.
I know my old man will never come on this podcast because he refuses to talk. And since we're telling deer stories, his story, since John touched on it earlier, he was hunting.
We're gonna get him to come on.
He won't do it.
He won't do it.
He won't do it.
No,
No,
yeah,
I
right.
already asked.
He's
He
gonna
said,
sit in front of a microphone. He'll just get like this, be like,
Yeah. No.
"Yep, that was me."
So my brother had seen this 10-point in velvet on the back side of the property they hunt. Said it was a 130-inch deer. So my dad's a pretty picky guy. If it's not 130s, he's not shooting it. Goes out there to hunt this deer, waits for the right wind. Here he comes, walking on the trail, 25 yards, and his phone rings. His buddy Dan Pinchak calls. Buck gallops away. The same night I shot my deer, my dad comes in. I thought he was going to stab somebody. He was pretty
He was
pissed
not
off.
happy.
Yeah. So we talk him down. No, it's no big deal. He's obviously furious about it. What was it, a week later, I think?
Yeah,
that?
just about maybe 5 days.
Yeah, something like that. A few days later, he goes back, hunts that same stand down the same exact trail, coming the opposite direction as that same buck. 12 rings. This thing doesn't even go 100 yards. 144, just over 144 inch.
It was like 144 and 2/8 or something like that.
Perfect, typical 10-point thing was badass. Big, heavy buck. And we got pictures of that deer. I don't know if I ever showed you that. So the night that he spooked it with his phone, it went all the way to across the street from where I hunt, which is almost 2 miles.
Wow.
From where he went, and then he
Holy
came.
crap.
It's
got
about a
pictures
mile
of
and a
it?
half. They sent us a picture after we posted it from that night. It was like 5 in the morning, and then he worked his way back and died because he did.
That's awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so that was his biggest Michigan buck
That's huge.
after a long time. Yeah, that thing was awesome.
That
It had
was awesome.
28-inch neck in October.
But it wasn't even cold that bad. It wasn't even that.
No, it wasn't ruddy or nothing.
No,
yet.
no
it was
rut,
Just a
no.
big,
Just a big mature.
buck. Yeah, it's a 5-year-old whitetail.
Was he 5?
I'd say at least for sure.
They're here, man. They're here. They're all
Yeah,
here.
I'd like to know where he lived the past few years. No
Luckily-
pictures of that deer, no nothing.
Luckily, CWD didn't get him.
I'm really
Thank God.
hoping that
If you'd have been 7, you'd have
I'm
been
really
dead.
hoping that Stan is alive still, because I mean, you
find
saw
out.
pictures of him.
Did you leave any cameras out?
I have one out there right now, and it's in the spot that he first showed up.
Could come right back.
So
Maybe I should name my buck then, the one that I'm after.
what is it? What's
Gary.
his name? Yeah, let's give it a name.
Gary.
Oh,
I like Gary.
Sandra Bullock.
Who?
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, I'm in. Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock. Is that the one from the blindfold movie?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, Blindside.
yeah.
No,
it's okay
not
to kidnap
Blindside.
kids.
No, I'm talking about the
As long as
like
they
the big
become
controversial one, the Bird Box or whatever.
Players.
Was that Sandra Bullock and Bird Box?
Yeah, Bird Box.
Yeah, perfect.
Blindside.
Sandra Bullock. I'm after Sandra Bullock next year. I'm
Okay,
gonna
Sandra
kill him.
Bullock's the buck of yours. We got to okay. So I sent Niko a picture the other day. I got pictures of this not a half rack, but in fact, I sent you pictures of him way before
Yeah,
we
in
ever
velvet.
did this. I don't. You might not remember this. I sent you a picture of him a long time ago, before Time's Up, before I was involved.
Talking about your dagger deer?
I asked you. I said, "Hey, what do you think about this deer?" I said, "Do you believe that if this is the way the deer is now, will it always be?" And you told me you didn't think it. It's not
No.
necessarily always the case.
No, it's not.
Okay, so and you sent me some pictures of another deer with a big knobby knee, and it was all my. Yeah. This is the same buck.
Yeah.
I asked you. Well, this year it's still the same.
How old is he?
At least 2 now.
I think you got to give him till 4
So.
to see it. Like, I
know, I
just
kinda wanna
just
kill
read
him
a
next
whole.
year.
I mean, hey, kill him. I don't care.
What's your name of it? He's at least 2 years old.
Dan Pinchak.
Dan Pinchak?
Is it really?
Are we gonna name our
Wait.
deer after guys on the job?
Yes. Name him Dan Pinchak for sure.
Oh no.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Kill
All right, well, we're
Pinchak.
naming him after Pinchak then. Why Dan?
What if we call him Danny P?
Okay,
Danny
Danny
P.
P is the name of. Danny P is the name of the buck with the half rack. Now maybe next year he won't be.
Right.
But I mean,
Very
this
well
year
might
he
not
was
be.
bigger than and I passed on him during bow season. The first season I had that lease, and then this year I passed on him to
if
miss
he's a
another
3-year-old with that cool rack, I would definitely shoot him. Just
So
'cause
he's
a
at least a
sweet
2. He could be
Yeah,
a 3, I
like
guess.
shoulder mount.
But last year he might have been a 2-year-old deer.
one. Well, you'll know this year because you'll be able to tell the difference now.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll. I mean, he
If
was
you're
he was still
74
alive at
cows,
the end
yeah.
of gun season because I missed that other buck that he was standing next to, and he ran and the other buck didn't run. But-
He'll be alive.
Yeah, so Danny P's his name. All right, we should probably wrap this up.
How are we doing that?
It's been over an hour,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have to edit some of this.
No, people love it.
Yeah. Well, do us a favor. Go on iTunes and subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I want to see at least 5 subscribers.
Yeah, at least 5. And give us some good stars.
5.
Because it'll help us.
I don't know how any of this works, so just do what
I
he
don't
says.
really even know either how if I'm gonna be able to get it up. Should be up soon.
We'll figure
but
it out.
Just do that for us, even if you didn't listen.
Why are you telling them it should be up soon? Because if
It
it's
should be.
Well, it'll be up for sure when they're.
listening
I'm
to it.
hoping that they'll be listening to this. I hope they'll be listening on January 1st of 2019.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully, if I
Perfect.
can figure it.
So Happy
out.
New Year. That's like 2
Yeah,
days.
yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
See you next year, guys.
You're so funny.
All right, that's it.
All right, man.
Bye.
Thanks.